With the fasting, I lost from April to July, I've lost 60 pounds. And then, so that's 90 days, 60 pounds in 90 days. Like I said, all July has been me testing, and I've been hovering at 175 all of July, which means that 50 of those pounds were in 2 months.
Wow.
That shows you guys the power of fasting right there.
So the face that I'm looking at looked very different the last time we had a face-to-face conversation, bro. A lot has changed since then. How long has it been, man? Like 3 or 4 years? I don't know. How long has it been since the last time we connected?
I think that might have been 2018.
Damn.
Might have been 2018. So we're talking about 6 years.
So when we first met, we were in LA at a meetup that I did at Runyon Canyon. And at the time, you were on the quest to losing weight, right? So you had some success, but at that time, how much did you weigh at that time?
When we first met at Runyon, if I had to guess 6 years ago, probably mid-2 teens, if I had to guess.
Okay. So what was your heaviest weight?
Actually saw on the scale 235. But actually looking at some of the pictures I got that I looked from old, because I'm like, yeah, 235 was probably my max. But looking at some pictures, if I had to guess, I had to be close to 250.
And so what do you weigh currently?
Currently I'm at 175.
All right, so 250 to 175, so 75 pounds down. How tall are you? Because I know a lot of people are going to ask that.
5'8" and change, almost 5'9".
All right, so you lost 75 pounds. So I want to take a moment to shout out 2 of my favorite clients, Juan and Spencer. They both have phenomenal weight loss stories, and I got the opportunity to play a role in both of their journeys, and I couldn't be more proud of them. They've implemented everything that I taught them, and they got the results, and I want to play a role in your transformation journey as well. I'm currently taking on online coaching clients. If you are serious, if you're at the place where you're tired of this fucking roller coaster, you're tired of failing at weight loss repeatedly, and you know you need the support, you need accountability, you need community, I want you to sign up for a discovery call. I'm doing free discovery calls for people who are ready to commit. All right, so if that's you, sign up for a call and I'll speak to you soon. Tell me a little bit about the journey, right, from the beginning. How did you find yourself 75 pounds heavier than you are today? I guess let's just start there.
Started from being a stay-at-home worker. Me and Bree, my fiance, we moved to California back in 2015. So, and from then, she was kind of, for a couple of years, she was handling the load financially because we had just moved out there and kind of trying to find jobs and stuff. So really just being comfortable at home. I'm a gamer by nature. So I sit and I play video games for 12 hours a day, and literally for some reason when you play video games you feel like you got to be eating while you're playing video games. Food addiction, binge eating, and those things just come with the territory, especially when you're eating all this processed food and that type of stuff. And something which was important, which I learned later down the line from listening to various people, was I didn't realize how childhood trauma was affecting how I was eating. Yeah, so a mix of being at home all the time, sitting down for 15 plus hours a day and eating anything I could put my hands on. Food addiction, being triggered by certain things, like gaming for you was a trigger to overeat. Yep. Childhood trauma. Talk to us a little bit about the journey to discovering all these things, and then how did you overcome them? So you know what? Yeah, like you said, it's been a long journey. This has been 10 years in the making, and it's been an up and down battle. I think it's really been a matter of why can't I change? Why can't I stick to what I want to do? I know I don't want to be fat anymore. Why can't I stick to it? Why can't I not have dinner without going to get a Chick-fil-A milkshake? And that having those problems made me look deeper into it. And I discovered people like Dr. Nicole LePera. She's an advocate for the self-healing movement. I forget the name of the book too, but her book changed my life as well. Yep, so people like her, and really just becoming more spiritual and getting in tune with myself. And she was a big help learning about how that childhood trauma is affecting what's going on in your life right now. So really discovering those areas of my life and realizing that, okay, this is deeper than you just got a food addiction or you're a gamer and you can't eat. And then it took me a while after discovering those things, but again, now we're here, and like I said, 10 years later, I'm finally on the right track. As much as you learn about those childhood traumas and different things, that don't mean that it's going to instantly change things. And, oh, I learned about my childhood trauma, and now I'm going to eat right, and now it's going to stop gaming, and now food addiction is going to stop. Essentially, it's just never been able to get over that hill. And then it came to a point 4 to 6 months ago where I just said enough is enough, especially with my 3 young kids, 3 kids under 3. As much as this is for them for when I'm 60 and 70. And you know what? One thing I never told myself before, which as much as I want to say it for my kids, I did it for myself. I told myself I deserve it, and I think that's been the biggest change.
Can we get an overview of what you discovered about the connection between your childhood and the eating habits that was destroying your health?
So growing up, parents got divorced I was around probably 13 or so years old, and within that time, it hasn't been confirmed. This is something I've never shared publicly with anyone on the internet. My mom told me that, hey, your dad might not be your dad. I didn't know how it affected me as a kid, but as a kid, I realized later on, listening to Dr. Nicole, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My dad's the youngest of 12. A bunch of my uncles own plumbing businesses. So we've always had this perception. I'm from Philly and Philadelphia. The Ingrams you hear an Ingram, the Ingrams got money. So I've always had to keep up to that persona. So I've always had imposter syndrome in my life. So I've always had to make myself seem better than I was. Even if you go on my Instagram page early on, like even before we first met, like I would rent cars in LA, act like they mine, post them on the gram, act like they my cars. So for the longest time in my life, I've struggled with imposter syndrome, and I never knew why. And I realized that one, I didn't grow up with my mom in my household, which I learned that as boys, we need our mother's love. I had my stepmom there, but essentially she's not there. You're not my mom when I'm in high school, and you can't tell me nothing. I don't want hugs from you. I don't want kisses from you. So essentially, I grew up from 13 to 18 without a mother's touch. So, and that affected me, which I didn't know then. So, but now looking back on everything, so now those things, that childhood trauma of not feeling good enough.
So was the food an escape from those emotions? Like how did your eating habits play into that?
It wasn't really an escape, because until later on when I started discovering Dr. Nicole, I never really understood those issues of why I needed to look a certain way in people's eyes. But it never was to the point where like, to make myself look better, I'm feeling a certain way, or I'm not looking a certain way in people's eyes, I need to eat. I think it's more so just the comfort of food.
And I don't think it's ever like a in the moment conscious thing, like, oh, let me use this to escape.
Yeah.
It's just a response to feeling uncomfortable with our emotions, and it's like food is the thing that we can use to make ourselves feel better.
Again, the feeling of not being good enough when let's say if I start a new business or trying to do something, not necessarily when it gets tough, but in order to escape and not pursue what I'm trying to do, my escape is eating. So you're right. So my escape would be eating.
When the light bulb went off, right? It sounds like you said, 4 to 6 months ago, you had this moment where you hit your breaking point. Talk to us a little bit about your breaking point and what were your first steps after that?
As much as I wish a breaking point is a specific thing that you can do and teach people.
And it's not. It's not. It's an accumulation of things, right?
I've been looking for that breaking point for the last 10 years and I can never find it. One day, I forget exactly, but it's like, it's now or never. I told myself it's now or never. I literally told myself that and told Bree that it's now or never. And I started with a fast. So I'm huge into fasting, which I don't know if we're going to get into that more, but I'm a huge water fasting advocate, intermittent fasting advocate, following Dr. Jason Fung, who's one of the leading researchers in fasting. But water fasting has changed my life. So I started with a 6-day water fast because I needed to break my addictions quickly. Before that, I've done water fast before, intermittent fasting, and none of it is stuck. So first thing I had to do was get my diet right. I need to figure out what I was going to be eating, so that way when I broke the fast, I'm not going to go into binging and back into those bad habits like I previously did. So I got the diet right, then broke into a 6-day fast to break those addictions. From there on, it was just water fasting and working out heavy that started the kick up.
So you said you started by addressing your nutrition first before you started the water fast. What did that look like? What was that transition?
So I knew I needed to be eating whole foods, whole grains, Fruits and vegetables. That's simple. And I think the biggest thing that we misconcept in our minds is that we need to go on a diet. So I think dieting comes from when you're constantly doing the wrong thing. Now you need to go on a diet. But truly our diet is supposed to be the way we're supposed to be living and eating. So now that consists of lots of vegetables, which now my palate is completely different and I love vegetables. Lots of lean meat, lots of fruit, protein powder with Greek yogurt, and so really that's about it.
So I'm a huge advocate for fasting. It's so crazy that this is coming up right now. I just came off of a 72-hour fast. I broke it a few days ago, and now I fast for 24 hours every Monday, every week, for spiritual reasons, for physical reasons. It's just medicine. Right?
Yeah.
Fasting is medicine. Talk to me about your fasting schedule and the mindset behind fasting. Well, first, before you answer that 6-day fast, water only, that had to have been a beast. Tell me about that experience.
So actually previously, I've had, like I said, I've had many experiences fasting. That's actually not my longest fast. My longest fast was back in 2019. I did an 11-day fast. And look, so here's how bad I was. I did an 11-day fast because I was trying to do my dad was coming to town and we had a bet going on about who can lose the most weight in a certain amount of time. So we had $1,000 bet. So I'm like, it was getting to that point, maybe a couple weeks out. I'm like, damn, I'm nowhere near where I need to be. So I'm like, I need to break out a fast in order to get down this weight. So I did an 11-day fast, lost some stupid weight, got down to 185. And literally when they came, we were eating pizza, wings, Mexican, and anything you name it. Like the next day, I had a bad flare-up of heartburn, so bad to where I had to go to the emergency room. And they had to like give me some concoction to take care of it.
Let me stop you right there, right? Because I think there's a fine line between fasting and starving yourself.
Yeah.
And I think the intentions going into the experience makes all the difference.
Oh, yeah.
The mindset, like what is the purpose for this? I think if you're doing quote unquote fasting because you have a weight loss competition, that's starving yourself.
Yeah.
That's not fasting,
Which
right?
it was.
And I think your body responds completely different based on the mindset, your intention going into the fast. How you break your fast is so important. Yeah, your emergency room visit, I'm pretty sure that, solidified the importance of being intentional about how you break your fast.
My first 2 long fasts, like you just said, my mentality wasn't to change my life and to use fasting to make myself better. It was me trying to lose weight quick for whatever scenario or whatever was coming up. And the first 2 long fasts I did, I had terrible experiences because one, I had to go to the ER, and the second one I had to go to the ER again because I didn't drink enough water and I had a kidney stone. They weren't good from a mental standpoint because, like I said, I was doing it for the wrong reasons. And they weren't good, of course, for a physical standpoint. But this time, this 6-day fast, I was ready mentally.
For those listening, right, because it's so easy to be drawn to the allure of losing weight fast by fasting for an extended period of time. One of the biggest benefits from starting a journey with a fast, I think, is resetting your body. It puts you in a place mentally. Did you find it easier to change your eating habits after the fast?
So you can either change your palate they tell you to stop eating sugar for 14 days or the 21 days, whatever they say, to whatever you're trying to stop, cut it out for 14 to 30 days. I'm like, I ain't got time to be waiting for that. So it's like, what do I know can cut my palate right away? And I went right to fasting. So I know, like they say, success loves speed. And me, myself, I knew I had to see results quick. So not only did I know that I was going to change my palate quickly, but I knew, all right, I was going to see some quick weight loss, whether it be water weight or not. I knew that scale was going to change. And mentally, once I saw that scale change, I knew it was like, okay, let's get to it.
You're still kind of early in the success part of your journey, right?
Correct.
How confident are you going forward that this is going to be sustainable?
Actually very confident because I've spent all of July really testing that I'm not going to gain this back. So July
what did that look like? What did these tests look like?
I've actually come to love eating 1 meal a day. I think a big part of it is being a fat ass essentially for the last 15 years, and it's like
you still could be a fat ass once a day.
Exactly, yeah. So it's like it's like I'm tired. I don't need to eat food all day. The notion of needing to eat food all day comes from society and marketing. I knew that's not what I wanted to do. I knew that was a phase of my life, eating as much as I wanted 3 meals a day sounds good. It's like I've done 1 meal a day long enough to where it's like, yo, I actually enjoy eating this 1 meal a day. Because not only is it a treat to now eat, but I've never felt this way in my life, and I feel the best I've actually felt. So as far as what this last month has looked like, I've been experimenting. I've been extending my window from 12 to 4. So I break my fast with fruit. So I've been eating. When I get hungry, what I'll do is I'll have just a snack. So before, I'm not having a big breakfast or a big lunch or anything like that. So if I do sense any hunger, if I want to, I know I can have fruit. My mindset towards hunger is so different now. If I get hungry, that means nothing to me now, as opposed to marketing says that, oh, if you're hungry, why wait? Eat a Snickers. But no, that's not my mindset anymore. I embrace hunger now.
And I think that's one of the biggest takeaways that I got from my very first fast. It's like I learned the difference between true hunger and just wanting to eat.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of the times what we're experiencing is not physical hunger.
Yep.
Right. A lot of it's mental or emotional hunger.
Yep.
And I think being able to discern the different types of hunger is huge. And also, like you, fasting taught me the value of embracing hunger. And I think part of that the mental strength that I got is from like embracing those moments.
Yeah.
And using my will to kind of redirect my focus in that moment. And it's like one of the most empowering things I can only imagine.
Yeah, my self-discipline is at an all-time high. Self-discipline is all-time high. And when you've been in it, when I get in it this deep, you realize that I know they say that sugar and food addiction is almost, it doesn't have the same effect as drugs, but just as powerful as drugs. And most of us are addicted to these foods. And again, the system was made this way. There's a McDonald's on every corner for a reason. They want you fat, sick, and unhealthy. The McDonald's fuels the health system, and we keep going. There's a reason why most of America is obese.
I've locked in recently with the fasting, so I'm just still blowing my mind how we're like kind of on the same frequency with that. Do you treat yourself at all?
Oh yeah,
from time to time.
So
talk to me a lot about.
So
going
back to this past month. This month has been crazy because, like I said, I got a big family. So we've literally had an event every weekend this month. So between 4th of July, birthdays, and everything. So here's what I do actually now. So because I'm at a different lifestyle, and people are so amazed when I do this stuff. So actually, a lot of events, I'll bring my own food. So like if we had the 4th of July cookout, I brought my siete tortillas, and I had my burger on a siete tortilla instead of actually on a bun. On the weekends, I let loose, but in a controlled way. So if I want to eat what I want, I'm still going to keep it in my window. And if I eat like I did yesterday, I'm not going to go too crazy on what I'm going to eat. But like I said, this whole month has been about experimenting with that stuff. But I've been eating the stuff I love. Here's the real key to know how I changed: that I can eat that stuff on Sunday and I don't want it Monday. I can eat that stuff on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and I don't want it Monday. So with that, the change mentally and the change on the scale telling me, the scale is going to tell you all you need to know.
Talk to me about how often do you weigh yourself?
Actually, probably 3 times a day. 3 times a day. So first thing, I weigh myself in the morning. I want to see what my swing from the last night to the morning was. That doesn't give me anything. It's like, okay.
It's just data.
Exactly. Just data. Yeah. Just data. So I weigh myself first thing in the morning, and then I know my real weight I'm kind of looking for is right before I eat. So like, okay, right before I eat, because that's typically my 22 hour, my 22 and a half hour, whatever it is for that day. So I know that's kind of around my real weight, so to speak. And actually twice. Once or twice a week, I may weigh myself before I go to bed, but it's no need. That's kind of just a psychological one to just see where I'm at.
So how important is it that you weigh yourself every day?
I think very important. Because I think, again, it all goes back to that progress. So before it was, I want to see the weight going down because I'm trying to lose weight. And now it's become, let me see the fluctuations in my body to make sure I'm not going too crazy, to see what my body's telling me. If I ate pizza and wings last night and I'm up 5 pounds, and the next day I'm still that same, and that's data for me. It's like, okay, so maybe I indulged a little too much and my body didn't like it. And so
I've recently changed my attitude about the scale. I used to not be a fan of the idea of getting on the scale every day.
Yeah.
I now have all my clients get on the scale every single day, because what it does is, like like we both mentioned, it gives you data, right? It gives you feedback on your choices, but it also puts a governor on your choices each day, right? Because you have to answer to your choices tomorrow morning when you get on that scale. So you make very different decisions when you know you're gonna have that moment 100%. that you got to step on that scale. So I advise every person to first address your relationship with the scale. It can be triggering for some people. Like, I want to acknowledge that. I think also, if the scale triggers you, I want you to take a deeper look at what is your emotions communicating to you. If when you get on this little box and it gives you these numbers, now all of a sudden you want to self-sabotage. You want to do whatever, to make yourself feel better. Like, it's communicating something to you. And usually what that's communicating is that you are making choices that doesn't line up with what you say you want for yourself. I love the idea of getting on the scale every day and also focusing more on the trends than the actual number from day to day. What other accountability has helped you?
I think one of the biggest things has been Bree and I doing it together. So we took on this journey. We both said enough is enough together, and we did it together. But I would say partner accountability has probably been one of the biggest things as well, doing it together.
For those listening who are looking to educate themselves, right? Because like you said, it was a 10-year journey. I'm pretty sure a big part of your success came from learning things, right? And coming across certain reading certain books and certain podcasts. Like, so what material, right? Reading material would you suggest people kind of diving into? Because a lot of us struggle with that, right? The connection between the mental and emotional and the physical, right? Childhood trauma.
Like I said earlier, for everybody listening, she says the statement I said earlier is so profound. We're all living our childhood traumas. So whether that's daddy issues, mommy issues, bullied as a kid, fat as a kid, whatever that issue was as a child, to some extent today, we're all typically living that to some degree. And like I said, I suffer with imposter syndrome because I had to make myself seem better in everyone's eyes. And I think that the first thing you need to do is figure out what that is. What's that deep issue, that internal issue that's making you overeat, that's making you binge eat, you hate your job, or whatever it might be. There's something usually triggering those things.
Bro, I'm proud of you, as a person who, from maybe the 7th row up, I've kind of like watched a lot of this happen. So definitely want to express how proud of you I am. And
thank you.
You're killing it. Keep it going. If I can support you in any way, please feel free to reach out to me, bro.
For sure. We got to do another fasting episode, because I got a lot of
for sure.
gems about fasting.
We got to break down the fasting for sure. No, for sure. Let's put that on the calendar.
Definitely.